Dark confession. Bride's secret revealed minutes before wedding. Housekeeper strikes back. The church bells rang out in a haunting echo, reverberating through the pristine white chapel, a perfect backdrop for what was supposed to be the happiest day of Emma Collins' life. Guests fidgeted in the pews, their excited chatter drowned by the nervous rustle of satin and lace. But beneath the gleaming facade, a storm brewed. One felt in the air like the crackle before a lightning strike. Just moments before the ceremony began, the bride was about to drop a bombshell that could shatter everything. Emma's hands trembled as she glanced at herself in the mirror, the shimmer of her bridal gown glowing like a star against the dim light. Her blue eyes darted towards the shadows, where Lila, the housekeeper, lurked. Lila had a reputation sharp-tongued, fiercely loyal, and harboring secrets of her own. "They'll regret it," she murmured, a menacing grin creeping across her face. Just then, the doors burst open, and gasps rippled through the congregation. A figure appeared, silhouetted against the bright afternoon sun, casting an ominous shadow over the gathered guests. It was Lila, stepping boldly into the light, eyes locked onto Emma, and something about her posture screamed vengeance. And then she opened her mouth. "Emma, you can't marry him. You are hiding something he doesn't know." Lila's voice rang out, sharp as glass, slicing through the festive atmosphere like a knife. The crowd shifted uneasily, darting their gazes between the bride and her accuser. A collective murmur spread like wildfire. What could she know? In that moment, time seemed to halt. Emma's heart raced. She felt a lump in her throat, and the world around her began to spin as she fought to regain control. "You're not serious. You don't know what you're talking about," she shot back, though even to her own ears, her words sounded weak and desperate. Before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button. It really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The tension in the room could be cut with a knife. Gasps erupted. Some covered their mouths in disbelief, while others exchanged shocked glances. Lila stepped closer, and the rawness of her accusation hung in the air, heavy and thick. "I know about the letter, Emma. I found it, and I know what he did." A chill swept through the crowd, and Emma felt ice pierce her veins. The dark secret was unspooling. Images of their secret rendezvous flashed in her mind, the weight of betrayal clawing at her insides. She could barely breathe. What would everyone think if they discovered the truth? And more importantly, what would her fiancé say? Panic clawed its way into her throat, and she glanced around the room, eyes wild, searching for someone, to anchor her in this growing chaos. As Lila's words echoed in the vaulted chamber, Emma's heart sank. She could feel her world start to crumble, the facade of perfection slipping right through her fingers. The question loomed, heavy as lead. Would she fight to reveal the truth, or would Lila's confession doom her chance at love forever? As silence fell like a curtain, the entire room awaited the explosive fallout of judgment. Emma's breath quickened, her mind racing to contain the swirling storm of emotions. Lila's words hung in the air like the threat of rain, dark and foreboding. No, Emma thought desperately. She can't ruin everything now. Around her, the whispers grew louder. Friends leaned in, casting sidelong glances, their faces etched with concern and disbelief. The chapel that had once felt like a sanctuary now felt like a prison. The weight of all those eyes, all those expectations, bore down on her, making her chest tighten. "Emma, please," Lila continued, stepping closer, her voice a low hiss. "You can't pretend this will just go away. You know what you did." The crowd fell deathly silent, their eager anticipation morphing into a thick silence. Emma's heart thundered in her ears. Memories of that night ignited in her mind, the laughter, the thrill, and the moment the bottom fell out. "Stop!" Emma shouted suddenly, her voice shaky but filled with a fierce determination. It echoed against the chapel walls, rebounding like a shot fired in the night. "You don't know anything. You are ruining my life." The gasps that followed were sharper than daggers. Lila recoiled slightly, but her expression remained defiant, eyes blazing as she pressed forward. Am I? Or am I just giving you a chance to come clean? Every eye in the room remained glued to Emma, the air so thick with tension it almost felt tangible. She could almost hear the ticking of the clock on the wall, counting down the seconds until her fiancé, Jake, would emerge from the back room for the ceremony. What would he do if he learned the truth now? Anguish coursed through her like a wave, threatening to drag her under. Her thoughts drifted to the letter Lila had mentioned. That letter had been a careless mistake, an echo of a moment she'd believed no one could ever find out about. But Lila had found it. Her grip tightened around her bouquet, and a sharp pain shot through her where the stems cut into her skin. He's never going to forgive you for this, Lila taunted softly, relishing the chaos. Not if he finds out what kind of bride he actually has. Emma's breaths turned shallow. Every second felt like an eternity. A part of her wanted to scream, to lash out, to drown Lila in her fury. But deep down, a seed of dread began to sprout. What if Lila was right? She stole a glance towards the back as the chapel doors swung open, revealing Jake. His confident stride faltered when he saw the tense standoff. Confusion crossed his handsome face, his eyes darting between the two women. Emma's heart fell. No matter what she said now, the damage had already been done. Emma, Jake called out, his voice filled with concern. What is going on? Every soul present felt the shift in the air. Emma knew this moment could bury her happiness or set her free. As she locked eyes with Jake, it was as if the world had shrunk down to just the two of them. But the weight of Lila's accusations still loomed large. She opened her mouth to speak, but the truth hung there, heavy and dark. Would she confess and risk everything, or would she fight to bury her secrets deeper? The pivotal moment had arrived, but instead of peace, all she felt was the encroaching darkness about to swallow her whole. And as Jake stepped closer, the question lingered thick in the air. What would she choose? How far would she go to protect her future? The chapel felt like it was closing in on Emma. Jake's eyes bore into hers, a mix of confusion and concern washing over his features. Clenching her bouquet, she could almost hear her heartbeat echoing through the silence, a relentless reminder of the stakes. Tears stung her eyes, threatening to spill over. She couldn't let it end like this, not now. Emma, tell me what is happening. Jake stepped closer, reaching for her hand, but something in his touch felt different, cold, hesitant. Lila smirked, her victory dance almost palpable. You have a choice, Emma, she taunted softly, relishing the moment. You can embrace the truth, or keep hiding behind lies that will only grow heavier. That smirk made Emma so angry. She wanted to rip it off her face. But beyond her rage, fear twisted in her stomach. If she admitted the truth, would Jake turn away from her? Would the man she loved see her as a monster? Do you really want to know what she has to say, Jake? Lila pressed, her voice like poison. You deserve to hear the real Emma. The crowd stood still, a sea of expectant faces waiting for a revelation. Emma could feel their judgment as surely as if they were holding swords above her, ready to strike. Inside, the turmoil swirled violently. She took a deep breath, trying to steady the tremor in her hands. She had never intended for things to spiral this far. All she wanted was to enjoy her wedding day. But the truth clawed at her throat, begging for release. The choice was excruciating. Emma, I'm waiting. Jake's voice was calm but firm. He was right there, but they were miles apart. Did he still see the girl he fell in love with? Or was she just a figure in a blurred memory now, lost to scandal and whispers? She started, then faltered. Could she say it? Could she plunge into the depths of her sins? A vision of the last few months flashed in her mind. Stolen kisses, secrets shared beneath a veil of darkness, pleading eyes that begged her to forget. I didn't mean to hurt anyone, go on. Lila pressed, hunger in her eyes. It was the rush of blood to a predator's head, as if she sensed victory. You were just careless, right? But is that truly all it was? Emma's heart broke as Jake took a step back, uncertainty spreading across his beautiful face. Emma, just tell me. Please. We can work through it. Her breath caught, the walls of the chapel pressing down like a vice. Was it too late? Could they really work through this? Lila's smirk widened, as if she had orchestrated every moment. Lifting her chin, Emma made her decision. You need to know what I did and why. The crowd leaned in, anticipation thick enough to slice. The fears and regrets wrestled inside her as she prepared for the worst. ready to unearth the secret that could shatter everything. But then, a sudden crash echoed through the chapel doors, shattering the stifling tension. All heads turned in shock as a figure emerged, breathless and wild-eyed. The newcomer stepped into the light, startling the congregation. "Stop!" the stranger yelled, voice ringing loud enough to send vibrations through the air. "You need to listen to me. Emma's not the one you should be worried about." Emma's heart dropped. Who was this? What had they come to reveal? The atmosphere twisted again, this time into something darker, as every pair of eyes turned back to her, bracing for whatever came next. What other secrets were waiting to spill into the open? As silence settled, Emma felt her stomach drop. The mystery echoed in her mind. What had the intruder come to expose? Would it reveal more truth about her past? Or was it a risk that would bury them all? The stranger's presence crackled in the air like static electricity. He stood tall, an aura of desperation and urgency surrounding him. The congregation shifted, whispers bouncing off the chapel walls, filling the atmosphere with a raw tension. Emma's heart raced, pounding against her ribcage, as she searched his face for answers. "Who are you?" she croaked, her voice barely above a whisper. The stranger hesitated, glancing at the crowd, his eyes darting like a cornered animal. "It doesn't matter who I am right now. What matters is what I know about Lila." A shiver ran down Emma's spine. Lila? What could this man possibly know? The air felt thick with suspicion, and she could see Lila's smile dim as her confidence slipped, replaced with a flicker of worry. "I've been digging into her past," the stranger continued, his words urgent. "She's not who she pretends to be. If you think Emma is the monster here, you haven't seen the half of it." Emma felt the crowd's collective breath hitch, and Jake's face twisted in confusion. He glanced between Emma and this stranger, piecing together a puzzle that was becoming increasingly complex. "What do you mean?" he demanded, his voice steady but filled with disbelief. "There are things she has done, things that could ruin her. You have to believe me." The man's tone was frantic, a stark contrast to the hush that blanketed the chapel. Lila stepped forward, fury flashing in her eyes. "You're lying. He's just jealous because I got the job that should have gone to him. Is that what you think?" The man shot back, hands trembling. "You think I'm here to ruin your reputation? I'm here to save Emma from your grip. You're not going to get away with this, not today." Emma's heart twisted with fear and curiosity. She had been the one standing on the edge of confession, and now this unknown figure had thrown her into a whirlwind of chaos. What more could Lila have hidden? Was she truly dangerous? "Jake, please just listen to him," Emma urged, her voice cracking with desperation. "I don't know what he knows, but Lila, shut up." Lila screamed, a crack of panic racing through her composure. "Don't listen to him." The stranger stepped closer to Emma, eyes fierce with conviction. "You need to understand, the truth is worse than you think. She has been manipulating you all." "I can't take this," Jake said, his voice filled with confusion and disbelief. His brow furrowed, caught in this storm of accusations and revelations. "Emma, if you have something to say." Emma swallowed hard. This was her chance to finally break through the smokescreen. But now, with this stranger's words hanging in the air, a new fear gripped her heart. Would she lose everything by siding against Lila, or was the truth powerful enough to set her free? Lila's composure was cracking. "You think you know everything? What if I were to tell them about you, about the secrets you've kept?" There was a menace in her gaze, a threat. The room fell silent once more, hearts pounding with the weight of unspoken words. Emma could feel every set of eyes boring into her, waiting for her to take a stand. What was the risk of revealing more? Would Jake still see her as worth fighting for? But then, the stranger's eyes caught hers, urging courage. "You can stop her, Emma. You can set this right." As Lila's smirk twisted into a grimace of impending doom, Emma felt the weight of the decision surge through her. Could she expose the truth and save herself, or would she let fear keep her silent? With uncertainty heavy in her chest, Emma steadied herself and took a step forward, ready to confront the darkness threatening to engulf her. The moment hung in the balance, charged with tension, every heartbeat counting down to the inevitability of what would come next. But just as she opened her mouth to speak, a loud crash erupted from the back of the chapel. The doors flew open again, this time revealing someone wrapped in shadows, cloaked in urgency. "Emma!" they shouted, their voice a cry of desperation. You need to get out now. A chill swept over her. What danger loomed just outside? Was this intruder a new ally or a looming threat? Emma's heart raced, caught between the revelations and the unknown force closing in. Her eyes darted from Jake to Lila, then back to the new figure at the door as her instincts screamed that time was running out, and one choice could change everything. What awaited them all just beyond the chapel doors? The figure stepped into the dim light of the chapel, their face partially obscured by a hood. An electric hush fell over the congregation. Emma had never seen this person before, but something in the urgency of their voice sent a surge of adrenaline through her. Her instincts screamed they weren't just a bystander. They were a player in this game of shadows. "Who are you?" Lila demanded, her bravado faltering as she brushed aside her disarray. "What do you want?" "Emma, listen," the mysterious figure urged, taking a step forward. Emma could see their eyes now, wide and frantic, glistening in the chapel's soft light. "It's not safe here. Lila has enough," Lila shouted, turning to the stranger with panic mingling into fury. "Get out. You're ruining everything." "Ruining what, Lila?" Emma felt a fire igniting inside her, spurred on by this unexpected ally. "Is it the truth? Because it's about to come out." The air thickened with tension, the room vibrating with a silent roar. Jake remained frozen, his expression a mix of disbelief and confusion. The whispers grew louder now, spreading like an infection through the crowd as they attempted to decipher the scene unfolding in front of them. The stranger shifted closer to Emma, eyes darting toward Lila. "She knows your secrets. Secrets that could bring everything crashing down. You're in danger. You need to trust me." Emma's mind raced. Could she trust anyone at this point? The whole world was spinning. Lila's threats, the stranger's warnings, and Jake's bewilderment all converging into one chaotic moment. "She's right. You know," Lila interjected, though her tone wobbled, revealing cracks in her composure. "Don't listen to them, Emma. They're trying to tear us apart." A beat of silence punctuated Lila's plea, the air thick with the weight of so many eyes. Every gaze felt like a spotlight shining down on Emma as she stood on the precipice of revealing her own truth or hiding behind Lila's lies. "What do I have to hide?" she challenged, the words spilling out before she could hold them back. "Lila is the one manipulating everything. I've seen enough to know that. It's all a facade." A gasp swept through the crowd. Jake's mouth fell open, his shock evident as he took a step back, the reality of things finally crashing upon him. Every muscle in Emma's body tightened, knowing she was crossing a line. Could she really expose Lila and not tear apart the only relationship she had left? "Emma, stop." Lila's voice broke, pleading with desperation now. "They'll never understand you. You have no idea what you're doing." The stranger turned, eyes ablaze with intent. "You don't have to do this alone, Emma. We're here for you. We can help you fight back." Lila's expression twisted with rage and fear. "You think you can just walk in here and ruin everything? This isn't just about you." The chapel door swung wider, and in came a gust of wind that sent papers fluttering. Emma shivered but stood firm. The inner conflict was raw and overpowering. This was her moment to cast away the shadows that loomed over her life or be consumed by them. Before she could respond, the mysterious figure turned to the congregation. "Gather your courage and listen. Your loyalty to falsehoods is keeping you blind. The truth will always find a way to the surface." Suddenly, the lights flickered, casting shadows that danced across the walls, echoing the chaos that threatened to erupt within the chapel. Emma's heart raced as she tried to make sense of what was happening. The stranger's presence, while unsettling, felt like the beacon of light she had been hoping for. "Emma." Jake's voice cut through the tension, pulling her back to him. "You need to make a choice. Do you trust this person, or do you trust Lila?" The question hung in the air, weighty and heavy like an anchor dragging her down. Emma's breath caught in her throat as she weighed the possibilities. One choice could rupture the foundation of everything she knew. "Answer him," the stranger demanded with urgency, leaning in toward her. Whatever turned her world sideways, one thing was certain: time would not wait, and the truth was clawing its way to the light. But would she embrace it or retreat back into the comforting darkness? Just as Emma opened her mouth to declare her choice, another loud crash resonated from outside the chapel, vibrating through the very bones of the building. What now? She thought. dread coiling in her stomach. Shouts erupted from beyond the doors, words too frantic to decipher. The storm was far from over, and her choice would have to come quickly. Would she stand her ground, or would fear push her into retreat again? As the door shook under pressure, Emma felt the grip of fate closing in around her, straining against the world outside, ready to shatter everything she had left. The chapel shook under the weight of chaos. The door rattled violently, sending ripples of unease through the crowd packed tightly together. Emma's pulse drummed in her ears, drowning out the rising pandemonium. Each heartbeat felt like a warning, urging her to choose, to speak, to act before it was too late. What do we do? Jake's eyes were wide with fright, his hands clenched into fists at his sides. The light flickered again, casting eerie shadows across the walls, heightening the tension that felt almost tangible. Each moment you hesitate, it could end, the stranger pressed, urgency mixing with desperation in their voice. Lila has allies outside. They're here to silence you for good. Emma's thoughts spiraled. Lila's tangled web seemed to snare everyone. Her family, her friends, and even this mysterious figure. What secrets lay hidden? All she knew was that one wrong choice now could destroy her. Emma. Lila's tone was laced with panic as she reached out. You don't understand what you're walking into. This isn't a game. But even as Lila spoke, Emma could see the cracks in her cool facade. The act was crumbling, and with it, Lila's control seemed to wane. What lay beneath that mask? Frantically, Emma considered her options. Could she confront Lila? Or would leaning into the stranger be her salvation? Another loud bang rattled the chapel door, this time harder. The congregation gasped, tension thickening like fog. Emma glanced towards the entrance, where chaos loomed just beyond. A figure pushed through the door, silhouetted against the dim glow of the outside world. Emma, we need to go? Now. The voice was familiar, and Emma's heart sank as she recognized her brother, Simon, rushing in with wild eyes, panic etched across his features. What are you doing here? Emma almost shouted, torn between relief and irritation. They're coming for you. Simon shouted, his voice strained. I overheard them. Lila's been lying to everyone. We don't have time. The crowd buzzed with confusion, whispers colliding as shockwaves spread through the congregation like ripples in a pond. Emma's insides twisted, the shock of betrayal painfully palpable. What had Lila spun around her? Simon, no. You don't know what you're talking about. Lila's voice trembled, shifting from a fierce plea to something darker. You can't trust them. I am done trusting you. Simon shot back, fists clenched. If you wanted to protect Emma, you'd be honest with her. Silence. Lila roared, venom dripping from her words. The room felt eerily quiet for a heartbeat, and she looked around, fury radiating from her stance. You're all too naive to see the danger that lurks behind friendly faces. But Emma could feel it now too, the danger crackling like static in the air. Emma, we need to move before it gets worse. Simon urged, stepping closer to her, determination shaping his every feature. As Lila advanced, uncertainty flooded Emma. Could she abandon the only life she'd known? But the stranger's words echoed back to her. The truth will always find a way to the surface. Emma, please. Lila's voice dropped to a whisper, desperation laced with a hint of fear that cut through the noise. Think about all we have built together. You can't just turn away. You'll regret it. What have we built, Lila? Emma shot back, fueled by newfound courage. You've built lies around me. The truth is what I crave now. The lights flickered again, a sudden darkness draping over everything, and Emma felt the ground shift beneath her. The chapel door quaked as though a storm raged just outside it. Suddenly, the figure beside her surged forward. Go now? We'll distract her. Emma hesitated, glancing between Lila, Simon, and the stranger. The air was thick with unspoken truths and unbroken bonds. The crashing of the door settled in, and the encroaching dangers became clear. Outside, shadows moved with purpose, darker than the depths of despair. What will you do? Jake's voice sliced through the chaos, pulling Emma back to reality. Emma, this is it. With one last gaze at Lila, whose face twisted with anger and a flicker of uncertainty, Emma made her choice. But before she could move, chaos erupted just outside, and a piercing scream shattered the air, clutching Emma's heart in a vice grip. Emma! Simon yelled, fear eclipsing all else. The moment had come, and it seemed the storm within wasn't prepared to calm. A choice hung heavy in the air, but as the darkness threatened to swallow them, Emma knew one thing no matter what. The truth was finally waiting just around the corner. Would she be brave enough to grasp it? The scream faded into silence, leaving a heavy stillness punctuated only by the rapid thuds of Emma's heart. She felt the weight of every gaze in the chapel fixed on her. Simon's desperate expression was a tether pulling her back from the edge of uncertainty. "Emma, we need to go? Now." His words ignited a fire within her. The choice was clear, but the path was shrouded in shadows and echoes of betrayal. She glanced at Lila, who stood rigid, wrestling with a torrent of rage and something deeper fear. I'll come back for you, Lila," Emma whispered, the words hanging in the air like a fragile promise beneath the weight of 1,000 lies. "Emma, don't." Lila's voice lost its bite, replaced by a plea that tugged at Emma's heart. But there was no time for sympathy. The unseen danger just outside the door was more significant than the bond they once shared. Simon reached for her hand, and for a breathless moment, she felt the warmth of his grip like a lifeline. The stranger, still poised at the door's edge, met her gaze with steady eyes, urging her with a slight nod. "Go. We'll handle this." They shouted again, the command breaking the tension in the room, sending adrenaline spiking through Emma's veins. Emma turned on her heel, fear and resolve sharpening her focus as she sprinted through the church. Each step echoed like a drumbeat, rhythmically pushing her toward uncertainty, away from everything she thought she knew. They burst through the heavy chapel doors, and the night outside enveloped them like a shroud. The air was thick, tinged with the acrid scent of smoke, and something far more sinister. Shadows loomed, and the full moon cast morbid shapes across the cracked pavement. "Where do we go?" Emma breathed, her voice shaky but steady enough to mask her dread. Simon glanced around, eyes scanning the darkened alleys. "There's a path through the woods behind the chapel. We have to hurry before they find us." The urgency in his voice propelled Emma forward. As they dashed toward the tree-line, overhanging branches snatched at her clothing, and the whispering wind felt like fingers tracing her skin in warning. Suddenly, a commotion erupted behind them. The heavy thuds of boots against the ground, shouts slicing through the night air. "They're coming," Simon yelled, panic lacing his words. "Keep moving," Emma urged, though her heart raced faster than her legs could carry her. The grip of terror gnawed at her insides, pulling her back to that haunting scream they'd left behind. Twisted thoughts spun in her mind between trust and betrayal, but as they dove into the woods, she knew she had to push them aside. Panic was a fog blurring her vision, yet an undeniable light beckoned from just out of reach. The truth was out there. She could almost taste its bitter clarity, but they weren't alone in the darkness. The rustling sound behind them made Emma spin around, breath hitching in her throat. Shadows shifted, figures darting in and out, their intentions cloaked in malice. "Simon, run!" Emma cried, adrenaline flooding her senses as she pulled him deeper into the heart of the woods. But he hesitated. "Emma, wait." His voice trembled. There was no time to process his fear. "What?" She shot back, her heart pounding so loud it echoed in her ears. Before Simon could answer, something dark flashed silently between the trees, and the sounds of pursuit grew closer. They were forced to split their focus, escape or confront the truth. "Left." Emma pointed to a narrow path that wound between looming pines, the branches gnarled, like ancient fingers grasping for salvation. Just then, a flash of light cut through the darkness, revealing a figure stepping from the shadows, face illuminated and unmistakable. "Lila," Emma gasped, her heart dropping into her stomach. "Stop," Lila commanded, but there was panic behind her eyes that Emma had never seen before. "You don't understand. It's not too late." Confusion gripped Emma as the darkness shifted close behind them. The truth Knight had promised was finally surfacing. But at what cost? "Emma, go?" Simon urged, his voice a desperate plea as he wrestled with the unfolding chaos. Did she dare step into the unknown, or was Lila's warning a glimpse into a danger far deeper than any shadowed threat? "Emma." Lila's voice pierced through, but the fear in her gaze wasn't a lifeline. It was a harbinger of the storm gathering around them. With the sounds of footsteps closing in, Uncertainty roared like a wave ready to crash, and Emma found herself wondering just how far the ties of trust would stretch before they snapped, and what horrors lay behind the truth waiting to be unveiled. Emma's breath came in sharp gasps as her mind raced, grappling with the chaos swirling around her. The air buzzed with urgency, a sinister energy crackling just beyond the reach of the waning moonlight. Simon's hand was still tightly gripping hers, but doubts clawed at her heart. "It's Lila," Emma shouted, trying to push through the maelstrom of confusion. But Simon didn't seem to hear her. "Emma," he pleaded, eyes wide and wild. "We can't stop. We need to get away." "No. Lila knows something." For a split second, Emma hesitated. The thin line of dignity they had woven in their years together felt like a fragile thread about to snap. But even as she pleaded with Simon, Lila's frantic gaze sliced through her hesitation. "You have to listen. It's a trap. You don't know what they want." "Who?" Emma couldn't fathom the implications of any trap, but the urgency in Lila's words intensified the pounding in her chest. The shadows behind them grew closer, and with it, a sense of doom. Suddenly, a scream erupted from behind them. The voice was distant, yet unmistakable. A familiar cry that sent a chill creeping down Emma's spine. "It's too late for them. Run." The echo of Lila's command underscored the gravity of their situation. Simon's grip tightened on her hand, pulling her back to the path ahead. "We can't think about that. We need to move." As the darkness deepened around them, Emma caught sight of movement in the shifting shadows, a flicker of light, a face obscured, a figure darting between the trees. Each rustle ignited her panic. "What's that?" she hissed, fear clawing at her throat. Before Simon could respond, the sound of rapid footsteps closed in around them. It was not only behind them anymore, it surrounded them. The woods had come alive with their pursuers, and a suffocating haze of dread filled the air, thickening with every breath. Emma's skin prickled as if unseen eyes were evaluating her, weighing her worth, preparing to pounce. "Keep running," shouted Simon, his voice bolting through her like a strike of lightning. They hurtled down the winding path, branches clawing at their clothes, earth shifting beneath their hurried feet. Emma's heart raced, a drumbeat urging her forward out of the clutches of night, out of the grasp of fate. "Look," Simon shouted, pointing ahead to a clearing bathed in ghostly moonlight. It was eerily quiet, and in that stillness, Emma felt the weight of a decision looming: stay and face her friend, or run headlong into the unknown. The light ahead felt like a beacon, a siren calling her away from the chaos, but it also held an unsettling clarity. "Emma, now?" He was pulling her towards the light, away from the chaos. But as they approached the edge of the clearing, the figure from the shadows stepped forward from the trees, their face illuminated like a beacon against the restless night. "Stop!" Lila's voice rang out just as Emma threatened to break into the opening. "You don't know who you're running into." Emma stumbled back, confusion and fear intertwining within her. "What do you mean?" she yelled. "What is happening?" But before Lila could explain, the figure emerged fully into the light, revealing a smirk that twisted Emma's insides. "You really think you can escape? You're right where we want you." Her heart dropped into her stomach as the recognition hit. This was no simple chase. She wasn't just running from pursuers. She was running straight into a nightmare. As the night thickened around them, Simon's eyes flared with realization. "Emma, we need to go." She tore her gaze from the figure, panic overwhelming her senses. As she turned to flee back into the darkness, a flash of light erupted from behind, illuminating the clearing in a surreal glow. The world began to spin, and she felt Simon grip her shoulder, pushing her ahead. But the nagging thought couldn't shake. What if Lila was right? What if everything she thought she knew was just a lie? In that moment of uncertainty, Emma felt the ground shift beneath her, the pull of truth and deception around her like a snare tightening on her very soul. "Run!" The echo of the scream ricocheted in her mind as they dashed forward, plunging deeper into the forest, leaving chaos behind, yet feeling the relentless weight of unseen dangers closing in. But as they scrambled away, Emma couldn't escape the feeling that this was just the beginning. Something waited for them in the dark, and the truth that loomed ahead was more dangerous than the shadows chasing them. Would she dare confront it, or would fear gamble her trust away once more? The final warning whispered through the branches. He's coming, and he won't stop until he has you. The shadows seemed to thrum with a life of their own as Emma and Simon plunged deeper into the forest. Every rustle, every snap of a twig felt like a warning, a finger pointing at their backs, urging them to turn, to face the truth lurking behind them. Emma's heart pounded violently against her ribs, struggling to keep pace with her frantic thoughts. "Where do we go?" she gasped, breathless and wild-eyed, scanning the encroaching darkness. Simon's face, usually so calm, was a mask of raw panic. "Anywhere but here," he shouted, pulling her further into the night, the moonlight retreating as trees crowded closer together. The underbrush whipped against her legs, leaving her skin raw and aching. The echo of Lila's warning clung to her mind. Emotions churned inside her like a storm, casting shadows over her reality. Had it all been a setup? She glanced over her shoulder, half expecting to see that smirk again, the face of danger she couldn't shake off. "Emma, focus." Simon's voice broke through her spiraling thoughts. "We need to find a place to hide. Just for a moment." The palpable fear in his tone sharpened her senses. She caught a glimpse of something, a structure silhouetted against the landscape. A cabin? It was too faint to determine, but hope sparked deep down. "There." She pointed, pulling Simon towards it. As they drew closer, the looming shadows morphed into a small, dilapidated cabin, its windows dark but inviting the promise of shelter. They rushed up the creaking steps, the door hanging ajar, as though beckoning them inside. "Do you think anyone's here?" Simon whispered, the urgency of his voice mingling with desperation. "I don't know," Emma replied, her throat tight as she pushed the door open. It swung wide, revealing a bleak interior wrapped in silence. Dust motes danced in the faint light spilling in from outside as they crossed the threshold. "Listen," Simon froze, raising a hand to his ear. The tension in his body was palpable, as was the silence that enveloped them. It was deafening, the way everything seemed to hold its breath around them. "We're safe, for now," Emma whispered, her eyes scanning the room. Unruly shadows flickered like anxious spirits, adding an eerie tension to their moment of respite. But that fleeting sense of safety shattered when a chilling voice echoed from the darkness behind them. "Safe? Oh, my dear, that's the last thing you are." Emma spun around, blood rushing to her ears. There, in the corner, a figure stepped into the dim light wearing a twisted smile that made bile rise in her throat. It was the figure from the clearing, eyes gleaming with malicious intent. "What do you want from us?" Simon demanded, taking a step forward as if to shield Emma. The bravado in his voice wavered against the weight of undeniable menace. "Want? Oh, I want very little but you." The figure's grin widened as he stepped closer. "You're going to be the stars of a little game." Panic surged through Emma. "What game?" she gasped, her heart racing as the room closed in around her. Suddenly, darkness engulfed the cabin, swallowing the light as the door slammed shut, locking them inside. The shadows pressed in, suffocating and thick, leaving Emma and Simon gasping in utter horror. "It's simple, really," the figure continued, amusement dripping from his words. "You'll answer my little riddles, my dear. Each wrong answer brings you one step closer to what he wants, what he craves. And trust me, he won't stop until he gets it." Emma's mind raced back to Lila's warning, feeling that weight pressing down on her once more. "Who are you?" she shouted, voice trembling. "Let us just say I'm the one who holds the key to your secrets. And I'm here to ensure you won't escape them." Just then, the realization struck her. It wasn't just her life at stake. This was a ruthless game that could shatter everything she held dear, including Simon. The truth loomed larger than ever, like a shadow creeping ever closer. And as the walls of the cabin began to pulse with an ominous energy, Emma knew they were about to find out just how far they were willing to go to survive. The figure stepped even closer, their eyes glinting with danger. "Let us play, shall we?" Emma's heart dropped. In that moment, she grasped one truth as sharp as glass. This game wouldn't just test their wits. It would unearth everything they were running from. At that moment, the door rattled behind them, a low whisper trailing through the air. You can't hide forever. Could they turn the tide before it was too late? Or would the truth be their greatest downfall? The cabin walls seemed to close in on Emma and Simon as the figure loomed closer, a sinister blend of predatory delight and calculated menace in their gaze. "Now, here's how this works," the figure said, their voice smooth and mocking. You'll answer my questions, and for each one you get wrong, I'll take something from you. And believe me, I know just how to make you bleed. Literally and figuratively. Emma squeezed Simon's hand, her mind racing. What do you want from us? She breathed, desperately searching for an escape route. Oh, it's not about what I want. It's about what you're hiding, dear. The figure leaned in, reveling in their power. You've buried your truths deep, haven't you? But here, surrounded by shadows, they'll see the light whether you like it or not. Fear coursed through Emma, knotting her stomach. She had spent so much time concealing her secrets, wondering if they could ever be set free. But now, in the haunted silence of the cabin, she could feel the flames of her past licking at her heels. We want to play your game, she demanded, steeling herself. Oh, but you must. Just answer one simple question, and we'll see how far you're willing to go to protect each other. The figure taunted, pulling a small, flickering lantern from their pocket and illuminating their twisted grin. What is your first question? Simon replied, voice steadier than Emma felt. Maybe if they played along, they could find a way out. The figure paused, savoring their moment before speaking. What is the worst thing you've done, Emma? The one sin you wish you could take back? Emma's breath escaped her in a shudder. Her mind flashed back to that night, the laughter, the thrill, the reckless abandon that had led her to betray everything she held dear. I kissed someone when I shouldn't have, she admitted, voice a whisper barely rising above the stillness of the room. But that's not all, is it? The figure pressed, stepping closer, shifting in the darkness. How did it feel to betray Jake? To tear apart your own heart? Emma bristled at the accusation, but the truth was undeniable. I didn't mean to hurt him, she said defiantly. I was lost then, just trying to find myself. Good answer, the figure replied, their smile widening wickedly. But how about this? Who was the one you kissed? Guilt transparently plastered itself across Emma's expression, as she faced a choice: reveal the nameless shame associated with her actions, or risk her brother being dragged deeper into the fray. I want to tell you that, she said, shaking her head. The figure straightened, crossing their arms sinisterly. Very well. Another wrong answer, and the consequences begin. They turned towards Simon, their gaze dripping with malice. But I think it's fair to ask you, dear Simon, what do you know about your sister's secret? Emma's heart raced. No, not this. She couldn't let Simon take the fall for her mistakes. Don't answer that, Simon, she cried out, panic gripping her chest. It's my fault. Keep your mouth shut. Why would protect her, Simon? The figure goaded, eyes glimmering with amusement. These games are about revealing who we truly are. Let us see if your loyalty is worth it if you truly want to protect her. With fear clawing at his throat, Simon hesitated. Emma, I don't want you hurt, he said, confusion tracing his features. The figure chuckled, taking a step nearer. Tender brotherly love. There's a part of you that knows her truth, isn't there? And yet, you refuse to let it see the light. Get out of his head, Emma shouted, heart pounding in her ears. Tell me, Simon, the figure continued, their tone velvet with darkness. What will be the price for Emma's depravity? No, Emma screamed, forcing herself between Simon and the figure with renewed strength. Don't hurt him. I'll answer whatever you want. Already making deals, are we? How predictable, the figure taunted. But I'll humor you. What is one thing you would trade for Simon's safe passage? The weight of Emma's choices crashed over them like waves. She had stepped too far into the abyss. I'll tell you everything, she promised. Desperation threading through her words. I want to hold back. Their laughter echoed in the dark, vibrating through the very walls that kept them captive. You must realize, Emma, everything is on the table. Lies, truths, the darkest parts of your heart. Choose wisely, for each divulged secret comes at a cost. Pain will track your family like a bloodhound. A chilling silence enveloped the room, squeezing out any last strands of hope. Emma could feel the eyes of the figure boring holes in her, waiting for her surrender, waiting to unveil the very pieces of herself she had fought so hard to protect. And in that moment, a decision crystallized in her mind. Fine, she said, voice trembling but unwavering. I will tell all my secrets, all the truths, all the pain I've caused. The figure leaned closer, their grin wide and gleaming with victory. Then let the games begin. The shadows clung to the edges of the cabin, hungry and eager as the truth spilled forth. No going back now. Emma stood on the precipice of revelation, prepared to face the darkness, to pierce through it, and see if the light could still guide her. But as she pushed forward into her confessions, unsure of which secrets would bring release and which could be their ruin, Emma knew regret was woven deeply into the fabric of her past. And yet the dark, tangled truth awaited them, ready to be unveiled for better or for worse. Would these revelations bind them together in strength, or unravel their fragile ties forever? Just then, a tremendous crash came from outside, signaling that their chase was far from over. Whatever hauntings lingered over their lives, they were now intertwined in a game that had only just begun. Emma felt a lump rise in her throat, staring into the abyss of despair before her, a dark road full of revelations. But she would brave it all for the sake of truth, for the sake of love. Now more than ever, the stakes were high. The real game was about to unfold, but she was ready. You need to subscribe now to catch the next shocking chapter. Smash the like button now to help spread the word. And don't wait even one more second to flood the comments below with your thoughts and wild theories about what happens next. And you must share this video with at least 5 friends who need to experience this gripping conclusion. Your support is crucial for this community, and only true fans understand the importance of backing the channel and being part of the journey.